All right, everyone, you know what this is. This is Circle Brothers Podcast with RJ
and Eric.
Let's get it.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you know what this is. Circle Brothers Podcast with RJ
And Eric.
Welcome, everyone. As you know what this is Circle Brothers Podcast. Thank you again for listening to us and our randomness. We have a very special one for you today. Today we are going to be talking about Marvel Endgame, Avengers Endgame.
But not until the end, because we don't want people to not listen to this podcast. So if you haven't seen it, trust me, we'll tell you when it's time for spoilers.
Oh yeah, but in the meantime, we'll talk about some other random stuff that's actually been going on.
Dude, have you seen what's happened to the Galaxy Fold? That thing flopped tremendously. So you remember we talked about that in our very first podcast, and I said that's the stupidest idea for a phone.
Yeah.
And that I'm glad that Samsung was making the tech. But that thing is garbage. When it failed within 48 hours, and then you put some film over it that looks like a screen protector that starts chipping away, and it's like the episode from The Simpsons when they were put together Ned Flanders' house, and the kids didn't was it Rod and Todd's room? They put a Krusty the Clown poster up. They didn't like Krusty, and Bart was like, "Yeah, you might want to keep that up. That's a load bearing poster." It's just like that, because that screen protector was a load bearing screen protector.
That's bad. A screen protector is literally protecting the device from literally falling apart in your hands.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a flop if I've ever seen one.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to kind of give you a heads up, we kind of got started early with this one, but long story short, we'll be talking about some tech news with Galaxy Fold. We'll also talk about some other things that's actually going around entertainment, media, and whatnot. So for those, like we mentioned before, we will actually be talking about Avengers Endgame, the movie, and we will be talking about it heavy with spoilers, but we will let you know when that actually happens. So in the meantime, go ahead and hang out with us just for a few extra minutes here while we go ahead and ramble about some extra things. Going back to the Galaxy Fold. That is hot garbage. Do not buy it. As a matter of fact, Samsung just went as far as to say, you know what? We know we put this thing out here, but we're going to take this thing back. As a matter of fact, all those guys who are actually, we sent it out to for reviews and whatnot. Yeah, we're going to need you to send that back, and we're going to need you to stop, reviewing it because we don't like what you're saying, because it's actually the truth. So
yeah, because our product's garbage.
Yeah, it's garbage, but I mean, what do you expect? It's first generation demo tech, folding phone and whatnot. Everybody got all super happy about it until it started breaking. So, and I literally mean breaking. I mean the glass, the plastic, the screen starts to flicker, and that's just half of the screen that's flickering. The other half is perfectly fine.
But then Huawei created one, and they have not been having the problems with their phones. I'm not sure if their phones are available publicly, but I think Samsung was trying to beat Huawei to the punch. But
and then they got punched.
Yeah, spectacularly. Oh, you weren't with us when we went to SeaWorld when that little girl fell down the bleachers and smacked her face. Dude, all right, so look, I gotta tell this story. So me and one of our friends, actually it was two friends, Damon, but one of the other Damons is our brother, and he actually passed away. But
R.I.P.
But yeah, so we were at SeaWorld. I think we were 11, 12, something like that. But we were in the bleachers watching the Shamu show, and this little girl started to run down the bleachers. Now, they got steps at SeaWorld, but this girl decided she wanted to run down the bleachers, and she got halfway down, and she must have tripped or something. I don't know. But when she did that, it was and her face hit that bleacher, and she didn't cry at first until Damon and I started laughing at her, and then she started crying, and it was just we couldn't contain the laughter. That's wrong, and I have kids, and if someone laughed at my kid, I'd be pissed. But
We're evil.
That was funny. That's the kind of flop that they had.
Yeah. So I have to let y'all know. It's like, if you're going to listen to us, you have to know who we are. I always have this rule: know your family. So if you're with us, you're rocking with us. You're rocking with the best. You're rocking with Circle Brothers. We have a very dark sense of humor. So
extremely
right.
dark.
We have an extremely dark sense of humor. So basically, we'll check on you if you fall or something and make sure you're okay. After we check on you, we're going to laugh at you. And that laugh is not going to stop for at least about 2 weeks.
Or a couple of years. I mean, I forgot about that. And that was like 30, that was like almost 30 years ago.
Oh, dear God. So that's just to let you know who we are. So long story short, how much were they trying to charge for that particular phone?
$2,000.
So basically you paid for a $2,000 paperweight.
Pretty much. Yeah. Now, granted, there were some people that did not have problems with theirs, but that, like, the what most people only pay attention to is when something flops and when it fails, because you're wanting to spend your hard-earned money on something that's unproven. Mm-hmm. And I think for myself, like, if I ordered one, I'm pretty sure Christy would be like, what in the world are you doing? Like, one, that's not Apple, so why are you getting it? And two, like, why did you spend that much money on a stupid phone? And I get yelled at and probably put on punishment. So
yeah, aren't we all? But anywho, so when it comes to the Samsung hot garbage phony phone, what did they name it anyway? Did they actually name it?
Yeah, Galaxy Fold.
Galaxy Fold?
Yep.
Yeah, so the Galaxy Fold actually got folded. So origami folded. So long story short, you probably want to avoid buying that. But this is a side note from the tech side of Circle Brothers. Anytime that there's a first generation product or software of any type, you probably want to avoid it. Only reason why is because when you're buying a first generation, you are literally the guinea pig.
Yeah, you're beta testing it.
Right, you're paying to beta test something. So, and when it doesn't work, don't get too mad, because you literally paid to beta test something, and they'll say, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead and ship it back to us, and we'll go ahead and work out something better." Which is actually what Samsung said to one of the reviewers. If you actually go on YouTube, there's a guy that I actually watch. I forgot his name, but his channel is called Unbox Therapy. And,
I was subscribed to him too.
Right, so he actually reviewed it, and he was touting about it, how great it was. He was just going to check it, see if it works out. And actually, he's one of the ones that they sent to, Samsung sent you, say, yeah, you may want to send that back, and we're going to work on it and actually send you something really awesome a little bit later on, and we're going to improve on it and hear the feedback and go ahead and send you something really awesome. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, right. But hey, they invested a lot of money into it. Why not invest a few more year or so into it, so that way they can actually do it right? So outside of that, that's pretty much what's going on with the Samsung. And like I said, if you're beta testing or basically buying a first generation thing, you are beta testing it, so you will be warned. At least from us at Circle Brothers, hold on to your money until they come out with a second generation product, or possibly even third, just to make sure they got all the bugs out.
Yep. Good advice.
All right,
because we're not tech for hire.
Yeah, we are not tech for hire. We do not do tech work for free. We only do it for each other, and also for select family members who respect our work. So anyway, moving right along, as to not step on each other's toes or slightly offend folk. But anyway,
hey, so I last week I was in St. Louis, and because the kids were on spring break, and we spent the weekend out there. My son wanted to go to GameStop, and which is normal for Elijah. And so while I was helping the girls look for clothes, and my son ran into a Sony rep. Mm-hmm. So in GameStop, his name is Robert. He has a YouTube channel. It's Bruh Got Game. He's a nice guy too. So I would recommend subscribing to his channel if you want to, because he does pretty good game reviews and stuff. And he drew his own stuff, which is pretty cool. Like his sword and his artwork is basically like Adventure Time, which he loves that show.
Nice.
But it's a controller for the crest of the hilt. And so, yeah, it's pretty sweet, dude. So, So while Elijah was there, I guess he asked him a bunch of questions and stuff, and was playing Crash Team Racing because he had set that up as a little kiosk there within GameStop.
Right.
And so when we got to GameStop, I was like, "Are you a Sony rep?" He was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "So I'm pretty sure my son asked you like a couple questions." He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Did he ask you when The Last of Us is getting released?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "So." He didn't give a release date. So.
No, I wouldn't expect him to. But.
No, but he did say Ghost of Tsushima is coming out towards the end of this year. He gave a month, which I'm not going to give because I'm not going to betray that trust. But he did give a date. He did give a month, and he also talked about the specs, and we went over the specs of the PlayStation 5. So he was able to talk about stuff that's pretty much public and confirm some things. And it was really cool. So, and I'm going to see if I can get him onto the channel because I told him about the podcast. And he said just to hit him up. So,
Cool.
We'll try and go that route. Have a Sony rep. Maybe we can try and get our hand, to talk to a Nintendo rep and a Microsoft rep. I don't know. I mean, if Microsoft wants to give us free stuff or any publisher wants to give us free games, we'll review them for you.
Yes, we absolutely will.
All games.
All games. We will do shameless plugs.
Shameless
plugs.
And Nintendo, we will plug your stuff. Just give us stuff.
Right.
And Sony.
Right.
But Nintendo, we will plug all of your crap.
Right.
Not crap, but stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah, avoiding the giggity there. So anyway. So anywho. But yeah, we will actually go ahead. If you're an independent gamer or an independent developer and you're interested in getting your stuff put out there, you want Circle Brothers to go ahead and talk about your stuff, go ahead and hit us in the inbox or go ahead and write us in the messages. We'll go ahead and respond to you and see if we can reach out.
Yeah, because we love indie games.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we're all about.
Yes.
But anyway, moving right along, what else we got on the docket today, man?
All right, so I want to tell you about some games I've been playing on Game Pass and why I think if you have an Xbox, Game Pass is like the smartest thing you could ever do. And I can't like say this enough because I'm a serious gamer, so I'm not computer gaming. I'm too old for that, I think. But and honestly, I just like the consoles because I can play with my son and do stuff. But Game Pass is super smart, dude. Because I played.
Because I was thinking about getting it, but I never pulled the trigger on it because I was concerned.
We'll work out something here when you leave. Okay. So, because we talked about this before,
right? We did,
but not on this. Anyway.
Yep. Anyway.
So, I downloaded Prey, and I thought all right, I heard some things that Prey wasn't too bad, but usually Bethesda games are pretty good. I was playing it for a little bit. I wasn't getting into it. So some of the reviews that I heard about the game, and I don't like to give a score to a game.
Right.
I think, or to movies for that fact of the matter. I think what I like to do rather is tell you, did I have fun playing it or did I not have fun playing it? And for the most part, I can honestly say I did not have fun playing Prey. It wasn't very engaging to me. So I took that off. I took that off my Xbox, but I did keep Vampire. That I think I'm saying that right. Is it Vampire? Vampire? I don't know. It's spelled with a Y. So, but it's actually pretty fun.
I think it's still Vampire with just with a Y in it because they're trying to probably dodge copyright. But anyway.
So
ding, ding, ding.
That one's fun if you don't mind the fact that all your actions have serious consequences. So if you're a kind of person that plays a game and or if you're anything like us where we play Knights of the Old Republic and we do both sides,
yes,
or in Skyrim I pretty much kill everybody,
of course,
then you won't like that because your actions will they'll come back to haunt you, which makes that game pretty fun, kind of like what happened in Mass Effect. And the first two good Mass Effects, third one, the last one, but it's fun. Now I'll tell you what I've gotten into: Sniper Elite. Never
I
ever.
heard that was awesome,
dude. Okay, so Sniper Elite 4 is a lot of fun.
Okay,
graphics are kind of Because there's a lot of tearing and stuff like that, but that stuff doesn't bother me as much because I'm more fully immersed in what I'm doing in the game.
Right.
And when I'm like shooting a Nazi's kneecaps off and like he's bleeding out and one of his friends comes over to help him, and I'm like, closer, 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 headshot, and or closer, closer, nuts off. Like,
oh yes, the nut shots.
Yeah, and you see his nuts get blown off, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome. It just dangly bits are gone. So.
Or like aiming for eyeballs and things like that because they do award you for shooting eyes out. So,
so are the graphics kind of like the same level of like the Mortal Kombat 11, where they show like the skulls and other stuff breaking?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that vicious, which makes it awesome. If you like the gory stuff, which I do, but I really, really think that game's fun. Downloaded some other ones, like some indie games that I might not have played. Like one was Ruiner.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty fun, but I think I beat the game. I think, I don't know, but it just wasn't as engaging as the other ones I've been playing. And Sniper Elite is kind of like got my attention as of right now.
Right.
Until I go get Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's just taken over probably until.
Of course. Yeah. So that's what's going on the game front. Because I was the only reason why I hadn't pulled the trigger on Game Pass is some of the stuff that they've been promoting for Game Pass. I was just like, I'm not interested in that. It's like, what was the other one that they were pubbing like real hard? The one where it's like a chain effect with all the other stuff. I forgot what it was called. Like a chain effect, the damage is like connecting. I forgot what the name. What is that stupid name of that game? Give me just a moment. I'll see if I can pull it up here.
You know, while you're doing that, like, so I did download the last Mortal Kombat, not the current one. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that storyline, because I haven't played Mortal Kombat since like 4, I think, or like, because Mortal Kombat just got dumb to me. But like, I mean, because like the story is so convoluted, and like I think there was one where Sub-Zero was a white dude, and I'm like, no, not that there's something wrong with that, but he's Chinese, and then it's a white dude, and I'm like,
well, you didn't know about the other part because one of them, I think,
was a fake Sub-Zero turned out, and that's but it kind of just was like.
I thought he actually got someone sucked his brain out of his body and then shoved it into like a new like robot. So it's like he's like a frozen robot or something like that.
Well, yeah. So they have like I think Cyrax is still in it. There was a robot Smoke. I don't know. I've been like watching the YouTube videos on it, but there's so many microtransactions that I'm just like, I'll wait till this game is like on Game Pass or maybe when it goes down a little bit and I might get it. I don't know because I like. Unless it's Street Fighter or something like Street Fighter or Samurai Showdown, which is like one of my favorite games.
That's awesome.
Yes. Then I'm a little leery on it because I never liked the run button that they had, but I guess they removed it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I hadn't played it in so long that I didn't even know they removed it.
Right. So I'm actually on the Xbox Game Pass website right now. The game that I was trying to refer to, I guess they may have actually pulled it because I don't actually see it up front anymore. However, I am seeing some other stuff that may be interesting. Have you played Monster Hunter World?
No, but I need to. I'll give that.
Yeah, that actually sounds very interesting. I think that one's a Capcom game too, and of course they got Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Yeah,
and they got Hello Neighbor. I've seen video game of Hello Neighbor. That actually looks fun. But let's see, State of Decay 2. I have not played State of Decay 1, let alone 2. So I'm kind of curious about that one. If you play any of these games too, go ahead and let me know what you think about it in the comments. That'll actually let me know whether I should even bother. Of course, they got Resident Evil 5. And of course, we already talked about Prey. So, and Sea of Thieves, which is kind of like, how can I refer? It's kind of like, it's kind of hard to actually pinpoint Sea of Thieves.
You're a pirate and you can do all kinds of stuff, but you're not a cool pirate.
Yeah, you're more like one of those Candy Crush pirates. And I hate to say that, but I mean, it's kind of like, yay, I'm a pirate! Yay! Let's go get some treasure! Oh, here comes the skeleton! Oh, it sounds like a bunch of puppets running around. So, but that's just me and my weirdness. So ignore me.
It's not weirdness.
Oh well. To each his own. So if you enjoy it, go ahead and yell at me in the comments. That's perfectly fine. Anyway, looks like they have Gears of War 4, which I've already played, and I thought that was actually awesome.
Yeah, when I beat that, and I thought the ending was pretty cool. I'm not going to spoil it because I was wondering like what was going on with that, but and then I come to find out for 5, like they actually go more into the whole thing. So I'm interested to see how they do that.
Cool beans. All right, so what else do we have going on today? Did you play anything else?
No, I haven't been playing anything else really.
Right.
Like,
so,
because I work and stuff, so I don't have time.
Yeah, you and me both. Normally, I would be able to have some chance to get through some games, but of course, life situations always jump up and try to eat away at my time, which is never fun. Right. It's not fun for you guys too. So I'm gonna make a hard turn. I said hard turd. Turd. So I'm gonna make a hard effort to see if I can get a hold of some games. I actually have them. It's just I haven't played them as of yet. So I still need to get a hold of that. In the meantime, let's see. Anything else that we want to actually talk about today?
Predictions for Game of Thrones.
Yes. Today is going to be episode number 3, which is the episode that it literally hits the fan. And I literally mean everything, because the White Walkers are making their way into Winterfell, and they've already decimated everyone along the way.
Oh yeah, Karstarks are gone.
Yeah.
Umbers are gone.
Yeah. Nobody thought they were going to make it anyway. So
all the wildlings.
Yeah.
Giants.
Yeah. They're all added to
stupid thins. I hate the thins.
The thins. So anyway, here's a funny thing. I am willing to believe that I honestly believe there should be a dip pool going on as far as who's going to go first. We know everybody, a good majority of people are going to go. Question is who's going to go and how. So I'm curious. I want your thoughts first. Who do you think is going to go first, or how they're going to actually go?
First person to die in this episode tonight?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
I'll say that I think that almost everyone that was in the Hearth scene is they're marked for death. So that means either Jaime is going to save Brienne and sacrifice himself for her, or Brienne will sacrifice herself for Jaime because their love is unsaid or something stupid like that. Tyrion's time is ticking. Is tick-tock for almost everyone in the Hearth scene. I mean, that's Beric Dondarrion doesn't have what's his face to bring him back. So
yeah, you can't keep coming back, bro. You're not a cat.
unless the Hound actually does what Thor was it Thor? Whatever isn't it Thormir? I can't think of what his name is, because every time I want to think of his name, I want to think of someone from Lord of the Rings or something like that. But he since he's dead, the Hound could bring him back because he was seeing things in the light, or in the fire. But he's also afraid of the fire, so maybe if he does do that, he wouldn't be afraid of the fires. I don't know. But I would imagine that if they're not going to do Clegane Bowl, then the Hound will die, which I won't care if the Hound dies.
I don't think the Hound is going to die. I think he's going to be one of the last holdouts, so that way they can do the Clegane Bowl, because I think they want to pay that off. I'm thinking that they want to pay it off.
Well, his brother's pretty much a zombie anyway, so it wouldn't matter if he's a white or not.
Right. So I think they're going to pay that off towards the very end. Tyrion, I think, is going to get the crossbow.
You really think he's going to do that?
But I don't think it's going to be in this episode, though. Somehow, some way, he's going to squeak by, and he's going to be one of the ones that'll get killed off towards the end. And I think Jaime is going to be one of the ones that get killed off in the very end, too. So I think he may survive this episode. Tyrion, I think, is going to survive. Jaime, I think, is going to survive. Let's see. Brienne, question mark.
I think she's going to die.
Actually, I think Podrick's going to die. There's anytime that they're focusing a little bit too much on a particular person, because they focused an awful lot on Podrick in the middle of the last episode and towards the end of the last episode when
he was singing Jenny's song and all that,
and singing Jenny's song. That's a whole lot of attention, and anytime you get a whole lot of attention, you're suspect. I also think Grey Worm is gone.
Oh, no, I don't want Grey Worm to die, man.
He's right smack up front. Oh. And he did all that kissing on old girl. They're trying to leave.
Miss Sunday.
And you know the rule. The brothers go first. The brothers go first.
And that's all the Unsullied. They
all up front.
And the who else? Well, I mean, they're like Arabs, aren't they? The
horse riders.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dothraki. Yep, they're up front too.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Yeah, because they're side by side with the Unsullied.
Did you peep how like the Stark the people in Winterfell were looking at like Grey Worm and Miss Sunday when they were walking in?
The shade. It was like, they don't like strangers. No, let's narrow that down a little bit.
I did not think that Winterfell was like Trump country. But then hold on, in their defense, they did look at Daenerys like, who is this bee? So like,
true. They were trying to skate that over.
I think it's just like they're foreigners. They didn't know who they were. Right. So I won't say that they're like that's Trump country, but they kind of gave that look like.
Right,
you belong here, boy.
Right, but at the same time, in all fairness, in earlier seasons when Jaime went to Dorne, they gave him the same look, and all the Dorne people were actually of people of color.
Yeah,
and it was all hot sand and all this other stuff because it was the southern part.
Anakin wouldn't like it because sand gets everywhere. Of course, it gets everywhere,
but not in the blue milk. The blue milk is pure. Oh God. Oh gosh.
So here's another prediction that so like at the end of the episode when the White Walkers showed up, the Night King wasn't with them. Mm-hmm. So
because he's dragon riding.
Well, but don't you think they would have showed the dragon like kind of like in the background flying around? Mm-hmm. I kind of think, and there's been other people on YouTube that have said this too, like on Nerdist and on Watch Mojo, two channels that I subscribe to. That if you like nerd stuff too, pretty good channels. They also mentioned that too, and I'm like, okay, so maybe the Night King. Because Bran has this plan to try and trap him and bring him to the God's Wood in front of the weirwood tree. I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think the Night King is going to be there. I think he's honestly going down to King's Landing. He's going further south because there's a bigger army that he could get for that. And I think at that point, because that might be towards the very end, because you got the what was the army that they.
The Golden Company?
Yes. So you got those cell swords. They're 20,000 strong, or less than 20 because Euron killed a couple.
True.
So, I mean, I think Cersei, because I really wanted to see Arya kill her, but I think Cersei will do what her son did and jump out a window.
Nah, I think the little girl's going to get to her.
Wear Jaime's face?
Ooh. Interesting.
Like, then that means Jaime has to die.
But how's she going to fake the hand, though?
She can just grab the hand.
Yeah, that's true.
Because remember when she dressed up as as Walder Frey?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. That sounds legit. Huh. Alrighty. So anyway, that's what we think is actually going to go down with Game of Thrones. The funny thing is that as all plans, I think the plan is going to go sideways. Who else do I think is not going to make it? I think the Ginger is done. I think they're going to actually kill him off. If he survives, it's going to be Tormund? I think the Ginger is gone.
Oh man, you're gonna kill Thor? Yeah, he's
again like I said before. Anytime that there's a little bit of extra screen time for people, that usually is a good indicator of them actually exiting. That's usually a common format for like most TV shows and movies. If someone's getting a little bit too much screen time, it's more likely something's about to happen. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the movie section of our predicament, which we're getting close to the end. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this up for Game of Thrones. We've got a couple of things I want to touch on before we actually get to Marvel and Avengers Endgame. Speaking of which, as far as the people who are left surviving, we do believe Jon is going to survive.
He's going to kill Daenerys. Not in this episode.
I don't think I'll put it like this. She may die, but that's a maybe. But I don't think Jon's going to do it. Jon's too much of
Nisa.
Yeah, he's too much of a tender heart to do that.
Oh man, he's got to. If he's going to be, so I don't know if you like with the whole Azor Ahai thing, where like the sword was forged and then he had to kill. Like he plunged it in the heart of stone, plunged it into the heart of a lion, then he had to plunge the sword into the heart of someone he loved. I think that for the prince that was promised, which is so you have the two princes that were promised. You have the Night King, and you have Jon Snow, or Aegon Targaryen the Sixth of his name.
Yeah,
Jon Snow.
The you know nothing Jon Snow.
Right. So I think that what they have to do is he's not going to kill the Night King. I think they're going to bring the Night King back to life. In order to kill him. So that's the only way. And I think that the Night King is a Stark because there's something about there always having to be a Stark in Winterfell. I think that everything revolves around the Stark because the Stark are the Starks are the only ones who are closely related to the First Men. And that's why they have such a relationship with the Wildlings and all that, because the Wildlings were here before the First Men. So I think that the Starks are the key to everything. And that the Night King's the Stark, and obviously Jon Snow is the literal song of ice and fire, the Starks and the Targaryens. So
true, but that's if they stick with the book, because they've been trying to do their own thing because George R.R. Martin is super slow when it comes to writing a book, but I still want to get my triple cheeseburgers and sit on my butt, and I'll just get to it eventually. No, brother.
Kids, get off my lawn and let me write my book, possibly.
And they were like, dude, you're literally hanging by a thread. We don't even know if you're going to make it next year.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
So anyway, so the show takes that into mind. They start taking liberties with their own with the show, and since they're actually taking those liberties, it's going to be kind of interesting in how they actually try to translate this into a closing for the Game of Thrones, at least for this section. So I am kind of curious to see if they're going to deviate, and I do believe they are going to deviate, which is the reason why everything seems to be short.
But they asked before they proceeded if they knew if the showrunners figured out what was going to happen at the end. So they figured out what was going to happen or got close enough to it that George R.R. Martin told them that's how he got their blessing. So they know somewhat of what's going to happen, but obviously the book has the ability to go further in depth, and there's so much that's not in the show that's in the book, like Lady Stoneheart. Like I really would have wished they would have brought her on the show, but I don't think people would have been like, why is Catelyn Stark back again? It's because she's Lady Stoneheart. But that goes way beyond what we.
Then you got to explain that, and that's another year, and they don't want to do that. So,
or the fact that Arya loved Jon, and
it's already awkward, and just to make it even more awkward.
Yeah.
Just keep it all in the family.
No, that's what Jaime and Cersei did.
Yeah, giggity.
All the things I do for love.
Yeah. And I was telling the coworker too, it's just funny about Bran, because every time I see him now, it reminds me of one of the Beatles. He's like, he just sounds like this when he talks. It's like Jim was like, you had to push me out the window, or else I wouldn't be the three-eyed raven. And so every time I hear him talk, I'm thinking, yellow submarine.
Oh my
yellow
gosh! I never
submarine.
thought of that.
So now you're not gonna be able.
No,
to
I will not be able to get that accent out of my head when I hear him talk.
Oh dear God! So outside of that, I'm trying to think who else is going to actually bite the big one.
I hope Sansa dies. I know that's so awful. I hate Sansa, and I hope she dies. And it's not because I don't like Sophie Turner as an actress. I think she's a wonderful actress. I just hate Sansa.
I think the women and children, including little Sam, and what's her name? Gilly.
Yeah.
Gilly?
There's something I hope you caught. I just thought about it.
What?
So when that little girl went up to Sir Davos, so she looked like
the other girl, that the one he was really close to and got burned. Yeah.
So she looked like God, what's Renly's brother's name? So it looked like Shireen, and Shireen was one of the she was a child of the Baratheons. And I think that could be Melisandre. What do you think about that? Because Sir Davos said that he would kill her, and Jon said if she ever came back, he would kill her. And she had to come back.
Talk about the Red Witch?
Yep.
Wow,
because she can shapeshift.
I knew she can get younger, but I didn't know she could shapeshift.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, how about that?
Well, in the books, remember, she looked like Ygritte.
Oh yeah. Huh.
So.
Well, I guess that does make sense then.
But that's just because, like, Shireen had the stone scale, but this little girl had the fire.
Yeah.
So Fire Lord of the Light. Just spitballing here.
True.
Could be wrong.
Could be right. Yeah,
could be right.
Alrighty. So with this one, as far as the Deadpool, if you got your money on most of the semi-main characters, I think are going to be gone. Let's see. The only ones I think will probably survive. Arya will survive because I think she's going to survive until the tail end. Jon Snow definitely will survive. Stupidly, he'll be beat up, but he'll be fine. Let's see. Daenerys. Yeah, she'll survive, but she'll be heartbroken because another one of her dragons will die, and she'll be down to, was it 2 dragons now? Because she had 3, and then the one went to the Night King.
That's Viserion.
And I think another one's going to die in this one. Ooh. So then she's going to be down to 1 dragon, and I honestly believe that's the dragon that's already familiar with Jon.
Oh, so you think Drogon is dead? He's the biggest.
Well, they keep shadowing a few other things like the
so Rhaegal is
like the arrow that kills the big arrow that kills the dragons. Mm-hmm. They keep promoting that in the middle of not the middle at the beginning of Game of Thrones when they're showing all the scenes. Mm-hmm. They keep showing the scene where they actually were testing the arrow with the skull of a dragon. That's at the beginning, like if you're actually looking through the credits at the beginning, mm-hmm. There's if you look when they go into King's Landing, down in the basement, they still have that skull there where they have the arrow there, and I think they're doing that not only to pay homage to what they just did, but what they're about to do again. Because I think they're actually going to try and take out that other dragon, which makes sense because that would actually break her heart because now she only has 1 dragon. And the funny thing is that dragon is the dragon that's already bonded to Jon. Because remember, that's the reason that would pay off him flying on the dragons, all that other stuff. Why would you pay that off so early for you not to actually pay that off in the end somehow, somewhere, some way? Because the Night King still has a dragon.
Yeah, he has Viserion.
Right.
And she rides Drogon, and right. Jon was riding Rhaegal. So
right.
But do you think that then when they both were flying that was the dragon's mating dance and maybe one of the dragons could have eggs? Could lay eggs?
Well, yeah, because the dragons are unisex in a way.
Yeah.
Like lizards, they'll change if needed to be able to mate which is really weird. Something weird about this, like frogs or something.
It's a little Jurassic Park thing.
Right.
All the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are female. Would you lift up their skirts? We genetically made them that way.
Yeah, everyone pull a Jeff Goldblum. Why? Come on, gotta go. Come on.
I love a girl. I'll never forget that line from that movie, man.
Have a girl.
Go onto your butt.
Oh dear God! So you don't know what we're talking about. Watch Jurassic Park for God's sake. So anyway, let's see. So now we go into the land of spoilers. If you have not seen Avengers Endgame as of yet, this is the part where you actually want to exit, because we will be talking about it at length, heavy with spoilers and future thoughts about it, what we thought about the movie and everything else, etc. So you are now warned. Spoilers heavy from this point on forward. Ding, ding, ding. Please fasten your seatbelts as we are about to enter spoiler territory. Engage. Anyway, what'd you think about the movie?
Oh, that was awesome.
I thought it was awesome too. Funny thing is, like, half of it I was underwhelmed, but that was because of hype. That's the reason why I hate hype in movies and trailers and spoilers. That's why I don't like watching trailers and spoilers.
I stayed off the internet.
I mean, I watch trailers, but even still, I know trailers have fudge in it. What I mean by fudge is there's some things that they do in misdirect for trailers.
Oh, yeah, they did total misdirection in all their trailers, except for the one where I said, and I called it, where it was the Hulk's arm when they were all in their the suits.
Yeah.
And that was Hulk's arm. I was like, that's Professor Hulk. And I was just like, well, I already have that spoiled when I went to Meyer. Stupid Meyer. But,
Stupid Meyer.
like, I mean, because I kind of figured, like, they'd have to pay that off.
Right.
So I wasn't, like, upset that I saw that, because, like we were sitting there, and we saw him, eating his food, and I was like, Professor Hulk, and like the guy next to me was like, oh yeah, dude, you're right, and I'm like, of course I'm right. I didn't say that. I said it in my head, but
so we'll start from the beginning. The beginning of it, it was very like ominous. I thought, it kind of made sense for the story, but at the same time, I'm like, kind of killing him like that is like Thanos like that was like kind of like, was that it at the beginning? But I understand why they did it. Right, they're mad, they're ticked off, and even after they kill him, is still not happy about it. It's still like 5 years later, and they're still like nothing's been going on. It's just everybody's been trying to deal with it in their own way.
Right.
So, and that's understandable too. I did like the Hawkeye one, the one he turned into Ronin. They started killing everybody, because that was actually dope. That was actually part of comic books too. But I really liked the character though.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I think if we just go down character by character of what we liked and what we didn't like, that would be cool. So if you want to start with the whole Hawkeye thing, I thought it was cool that they did Ronin. I liked how that he got set off because his family got dusted.
Right.
And it made sense.
Right.
The one thing that I wish would have happened, that it was Jeremy Renner's character, that Hawkeye would have died instead of Natasha. But because then when she sacrificed herself, and I was like, okay, like they're making a Black Widow movie. So
what it is that I thought it's a Black Widow TV show. It's a movie, but I heard that it was
prequel.
It's a prequel, and that's the reason why. And then I started catching on to what they were doing, because once they actually got to the land, and I knew it was to the land where they were searching for the Soul Stone, I knew that one of them was going to die, but it didn't make sense for Hawkeye to die, because that's why they showed him so early in the scene that his family disappeared and he wanted to get his family back. That's the whole reason why he was trying to do all this motion to try to get there. And that's why he was complaining to her, like, don't give me hope, because I don't have any hope right now of getting my family back.
Unless they do what they did with Gamora. And they, in the prequel, they go back in time to grab her.
Yeah.
Which
they could, but they had the opportunity to do that at the end of the movie with Steve when he had all the gems. But Steve was like, no, we just need to put him back because that's what the ancients said. You need to put all the gems back to keep the flow like at linear. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay, so she's gone.
Right, because they kept saying that too, like, well, we can't undo it. We can't undo it. That was that big argument that they were having.
Yeah.
That he's like, well, Thor was like, yeah, well, wait, we can go ahead and get her back, you know, and it's space magic and other stuff. It's like, Jim Marine was like, dude, the Red Skull said we can't get it back.
The floating red thing
said we can't get it back. If you want to have a conversation with him, you go right ahead with your axe.
Fly over there.
Fly over there and go ahead and have that conversation. This thing is way outside my pay grade. So,
so I thought that, I mean, but that whole scene was kind of gut wrenching though, because like, I didn't really want either one of them to die. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't like Hawkeye. I just was like, because I'm thinking they're doing Young Avengers, right? So they're gonna have his daughter take over as Hawkeye. Cool, I'm all for that. So that's why I thought they were gonna kill Hawkeye or Clint instead of letting Natasha die, but.
Right. It's a family movie. They're trying to do the family gut wrenching thing. And I knew they were going to play that card. So I was like.
So Fat Thor. Or as my son says, Big Lebowski Thor.
Hey, it's the dude, man. Hey, man. Just, you know. Yeah. So that one was a bit rough. And Korg came back.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. It's like Thor, this kid's being mean to me again. He's calling me names. Don't make me come over there. Oh dear God! So yeah, that was rather interesting.
I'm pretty sure Chris Hemsworth was like, "Let me do that," because he seems like the kind of person that would be like, "Oh yeah, I'll do Fat Thor,"
because he likes to do the funny stuff, which is with the shorts one. When he was like, "Where were you all this time?" I was here, with my roommate. So I thought that the way they did Thor was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, with him getting to talk to his mom again, and then her telling him like, "Oh, it's all right. I know who you are." Like,
and Rocket stabbing Jane with that thing, and then screaming off, "Thor, gotta go!"
I was actually surprised they got Natalie Portman to come back for that.
Why are you surprised?
I don't know. She just didn't. Maybe she feels like she's. I don't know. I don't know Natalie Portman. I don't know a lot about her, so I don't know if she felt like she was going to do the Edward Norton thing, like, well, I did two of them, and I'm not doing, because she wasn't in Ragnarok.
She probably was like, you know what? I'll let you use my likeness, and you can give me for pennies on the dollar. How about that?
I wonder how much she got for like that. Like what, 2 minutes of screen time? If it was 2 minutes,
it was probably about a couple hours, and then they chopped it down to 2 minutes.
Wow,
I'd imagine.
Couple million. I wish I was that.
I'd imagine that's nice. That's a nice pay bump.
Hey, Mr. Garrett, you're going to be on this movie for 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. What is your price? $5 billion.
$5 billion.
Okay, we're going to give you $15. Okay, I'll take it.
Done. You're terrible at negotiating. Yes, I am. Yeah. So anyway, so Thor was cool. Let's see, passing the mantle to Valkyrie, unexpected but cool. I like the handoff in the trade for that.
I did too.
Right, and the arguing with Star-Lord over who's leadership.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was.
It's like, I got a couple pistols.
Right. I got some knives, and they're both like,
"Oh yes, knives, please."
Oh, Mantis. See, now that part where Rocket was like, and the girl with the antennas, and I was like, Mantis? Like, you don't know her name, dude? Come on.
Yeah, they're my family. The girl with the antennas,
Drax. Like, that was hilarious. But like, what was it? What was like another good scene? Like,
you should challenge each other for leadership.
I liked when Hulk went to go talk to the Ancient One. Like, that was pretty cool.
That was dope.
Because she was like, no, Stephen Strange hasn't gotten it yet. Because she already knew what was going to happen with that.
Yeah.
But she didn't know, because she had died before the events of Infinity War. So she couldn't see further into the future. So I enjoyed that she couldn't see what was going to happen in the future. But she knew enough at that time that Stephen Strange was going to get his powers. Right. So that was cool that they paid that off. Because, like, I know people are still saying like, well, why was she saying that she didn't want to train him in Doctor Strange? But it's not that she didn't want to train him. She was getting him to let go of his privileged mind and thinking like, because I'm asking you to do this, he has to prove that he's able to do it. So
right,
I
agree. It's one of those areas where you may show up for training. Like if you think about the Kung Fu movies, which is what it was actually based off of, you have an apprentice or somebody who wants to actually study underneath the master. The master doesn't accept him right away because basically not only to prove to the master, but more so to the other individual. That's the first test or do you have the patience to endure the training? In order to do that, it's like, I'll let you sit outside and endure all the weather elements to prove the fact that you were ready for this training. So that's because most people bow out day 1, day 2, day 3 because they're really excited, and then all of a sudden they get fizzled out. The first test is patience to see if you really, 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 really want what you're asking for.
Yeah, because if you fight the master, he'll smash your teeth in.
Oh, jeez. You're nothing but a cheap trickster. So, gosh. So, yeah. We watch Kung Fu movies, the old ones.
Oh, my gosh. Heroes of Shaolin.
Yeah. 5 Deadly Venoms. The Man with the Golden Arms. Let's see. Oh, gosh. Wu-Tang Clan. The entire Wu-Tang Clan collection. They're more than just a rap group. Watch the movies. They're awesome. So, anyway. Professor Hulk. I'm 50-50 on him. I like where they went with him. Didn't really like the explanation of how he got there, though. But I understand, but for the pacing of the movie, they had to because it's already 3 hours long. So, the funny thing, the first interaction of him, it was like really weird with him interacting with the kids. It was funny, but it was really weird. It's like, hey, kid, hey, listen to your mom. Yeah. Like, yeah. Oh, God. It was so cringeworthy. I was just sitting there like, oh, no.
But I thought but they had to do that when they juxtapose like Scott Lang, like, you want a picture with Ant-Man? And they're like, yeah. Because that's how most people were who were not fans of like real comic book fans, unless you also
like then just take the phone.
Yeah. You're like, no, we don't want to see Ant-Man. Because like my wife was like, well, I never saw Ant-Man. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I had one of my coworkers ask me, it's like, so what movies do I need to see before? I was like, oh, there's a whole lot of them. It's like, I didn't see Ant-Man. It's like, I was like, there's Ant-Man. It's like, I haven't seen Ant-Man. I was like, yeah, you might want to see that before you actually.
Yeah, because this like brought in the whole quantum realm. I mean,
yeah, because most people think that, well, since the second Avengers movie's come out, maybe I should watch the first one and then I'll get caught up on everything. I'm like, yeah, you'll get caught up on maybe 35% of what's going on, but you're not going to understand how one thing equates to the other, especially when they start time hopping to all these other different places. But they didn't know any of that. So
yeah, so like if you didn't watch if you didn't watch the first Captain America movie, you had no idea who Peggy Carter was or why Margaret, when they were in Margaret's office and he saw the picture of him on her desk. And she hadn't moved on from him, and it's like, and my wife is like, "Who's Margaret?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's Peggy Carter." And she's like, "Oh, okay, like who's that?" And I'm like, "That's who he's in love with." Like,
it's basically the second half of the Avengers movie literally paid off the entire 10-year run of all the movies for those who actually watched all the movies, and also the teaser trailers at the end. So, which is very interesting as far as the rest of the movie, though. Let's see what else.
I liked how I like what they did with Cap. I like how they did Captain America's story. Mm-hmm. I love how they paid off what everyone realized what happened in Age of Ultron when they were sitting around laughing about who could try and pick up Thor's hammer, pick up Mjolnir, and with Steve Rogers budged it, and Thor was like, what? And then, because when he was saying he is worthy, I blurted out before Thor said that. I did.
See, also called too that Steve was somehow, some way towards the end of the movie, also called out that Steve was going to find some way to live out his days with Peggy.
Yeah.
And that happened. And I was like, that's going to be a payoff for him. Thought that he was going to pass off the Captain America mantle over to Bucky, but instead he actually packaged it over to Red Falcon. That actually was still cool, though. Yeah. That actually makes sense to do that. But the big fight scene when they all came out.
Oh yeah, when Falcon was like, "Cap, on your left," and I was like, well, because I mean, we already knew they snapped everyone back, but I was thinking like, how the heck are they going to get everyone? And then when Doctor Strange and Wong and everyone else was bringing them in, and I was like, all right, then it was Black Panther, and then like all the black people in the theater were clapping.
I did the shout. I was like, then I'm back. Be bomb back. Yes.
But I was excited. I was happy that like everyone clapped when Spider-Man. I mean, everybody in the theater clapped when Spider-Man came back.
Oh yeah, Mr. Stark. It was really crazy. It was like I was good. I was back. It was
like 5 minutes, but it was 5 years. Like, okay, shut up, Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland though.
Yeah, so he's awesome.
I love him as Spider-Man. I think he's great. Yeah. It was just like that to me. It was great, but it was like,
right. We knew that was coming.
Yeah. And I know, like, I'm pretty sure my daughter, or both my daughters, or two of them that love Tom Holland, were like, oh, Tom Holland. So Michaela, I know you love Tom Holland. And
all the women got happy when all the women started gathering together to start fighting.
Oh yeah, like how is she gonna get through? She's got help.
She's got help. Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go.
See,
which is fine. Because I actually thought it was a dope scene too.
I did. And I didn't think that and we're gonna have a roundtable about this movie, and I'm pretty sure people are gonna have all kinds of perspectives on it. But to me, like that didn't bother me.
Right.
Like I didn't think like, oh, they threw that in for this reason. I just took it as this is part of the movie because Captain Marvel had to get it. And, you know, they had rescue there. They had...
Which is dope. I didn't expect that. That was funny. He was like, Mommy doesn't wear anything. I get her.
Right.
when the daughter was running around with it. Like, yay!
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And so they had, like, everyone there. And I thought it was great. And, like, that whole fight scene... I'm glad I watched it yesterday because I wouldn't have been able to watch that today and then watch... which is the largest battle scene ever filmed tonight.
Oh, Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah, so that is the biggest battle scene ever filmed tonight.
And that's
bigger than what happened in Avengers.
And that's saying something because Battle of the Bastards was a heavy one too.
Yeah.
That was epic.
And so that fight in Endgame was better than the Battle of the Bastards, and this is gonna top that. So, oh my gosh!
And how can you have a battle that big with 2 dragons and not one of them die? Going back to Game of Thrones discussion.
Yeah. But and then who else's storyline I thought was great? Like I always knew that Robert Downey Jr. was done being Iron Man.
Right.
I figured like he's ready to move on from that, and I'm kind of glad like he got to do the I am Iron Man and snap everyone away, and I was kind of sad that they did snap away Thanos. I didn't want them to. And that's sad because normally I'm like, yeah, snap away all the bad guys. Like when Ebony Maw was gone and everyone in the order, I was just like, yeah, I don't care. But when Thanos sat down and was just like, and then he just dusted away, I was kind of like sad by that because like,
yeah, because he was a long running character. I mean, they can't do all that and then just let him live.
Sadly.
Yeah, he can't be Farmer Thanos again, harvesting like weird orangutan jack fruit or something like that.
So, but like, I was honestly, the one thing that doesn't make me upset, but that I'm kind of like, so how do we get the X-Men? Is they didn't do enough, in my opinion, to change something. Like I honestly thought to get everyone back, they went to another dimension. That's what I was thinking, because that'd be the only way you can introduce the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and all that. Well, actually, no, you wouldn't have to do it to do Fantastic Four because you can just have since everybody's back now. Then I guess you could say, well, Reed Richards could continue his work and blah blah blah.
Right.
So
because really, okay, remember back, which one was it? It's either one of the Iron Man movies that, remember where we start getting a hint of, I guess it was some type of roundtable meeting, or not roundtable meeting, but some type of meeting where they were actually trying to discover other heroes. And it was one of those things where they actually had markers of like superheroes in different places, and one of them was Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And I think
they had one in Wakanda.
One in Wakanda. I could have sworn they had one that was Namor.
No. Namor was when they introduced Namor was in Endgame, and they and when they said that they found the tremors in the ocean, and they were like, well, what are we supposed to do? And they were like, it was in the ocean.
It's in the bottom of the ocean. We don't mess with that.
That's Namor,
right? And Namor is the first mutant.
Yeah, so and he's supposed to fight. He's in Black Panther 2. Like he's the air quote bad guy in Black Panther 2.
So that could be a doorway to introduce the other mutants, because that kind of suggests that even with all this stuff that's been going on, mutants and stuff have been there, but they're just like behind the scenes. Because the only reason why the like Scarlet Witch had popped up and the other ones, and what do they call them, like gifted or whatever? Yeah, whatever. They gave them some other weird name. Her and Quicksilver.
Yeah, which now how are they gonna do that with them being Magneto's kids? But maybe they won't be Magneto's kids in this timeline.
Right, because the whole thing of it is just they're trying to introduce mutants. So they're probably not going to stick too close to the who's related to who in that aspect.
Probably.
Because that'll get too confusing.
That would be very confusing.
Well, for those who are not really into comics, so.
Yeah.
So all in all, I thought it was dope. If you actually stay to the very, very end, you'll actually hear some audio stuff, because my kid was like, there's some audio at the very end. So I was like, all right. So I stayed and I listened to it, and it was just Iron Man beating on the what's the name? Because I was from Iron Man 1.
Yeah, when he was in the cave.
When he was in the cave making his Mach 1 armor suit.
Yep.
So that was it on that one.
It did sadden me when he died, though. I mean, like, and I think the other thing that had me sad was, because there was people sniffling all over the theater.
Oh, of course.
Like, through all parts of the movie and stuff. But like, what really choked me up more than anything was, just going back to talking about Damon, was like, I just wished that, because I think the first movie we saw together after he had died was Iron Man. Mm-hmm. And we were both like, dang, I wish Damon could see this. Like, yeah. And so like, that was that thought again, like, cause it is 10 years, and it was just like, man, my friend was so into comic books, and our friend, and
yeah.
And, and that choked me up more than anything else, because I just wish that, I'm pretty sure he would complain about everything though. So he's like, that's not what happened in the comic books. Like, I could just hear him. So
outside of that, I think the movie all in all was actually pretty dope. They did a really good job on it. I will tell you this story though. People out there in the internet land, I need you to sit down and imagine with me. Close your eyes. I want you to imagine with me. I want you to get in your mind something of, imagine a tropical island, right? And you hear some pitter patters of water actually trickling down. You notice it's starting to rain. And as the rain starts to get more and more intense, it starts to go shh. It starts to get more and more robust and more getting loud and really furious. The winds are starting to whip. You got all this rainwater getting inside your clothes, your ears, your hair, everywhere else. You notice that you're actually in a typhoon. All this water that's just rushing all over, everywhere. There's water soaked everywhere. You hear it, you see all of it. And I say that to say this. Never in my life have I witnessed men urinating in sequence after that movie. All the men in the men's restroom, all peeing furiously in unison for about, this wasn't a couple minute pee. This is something that's like a whole bunch of fire hoses going off at the same time. This is like the Naked Gun, like urination scene where they're peeing for like 20 minutes straight.
I actually took IGN's advice because I read their article about when was the best time to pee.
Yeah.
And I peed right when they were in Tokyo. And when
that was early.
Because when Natasha had met with Clint, and I was like, I don't give a crap, and so I went and peed. Not because I don't like Hawkeye, because I love Hawkeye, but it was just like, if ever there was a time when I didn't care to watch this movie, that was it. And it took me 1 minute to run down to the restroom.
I actually like that fight scene, though. That fight scene was pretty
dope.
No,
I saw all that. It was when he was like, he was standing there before he took his mask off and pulled the hood down. He was like, you shouldn't be here. And I was thinking, you're right. I should be in the bathroom.
Urinate!
Yep. Me and this other guy, he was like, oh man, we gotta hurry.
Right.
And he was like, oh, am I in the right, this is the right theater? I was like, yeah, dude, it's this one. He was like, oh, thanks. So held the door open for him. It's a younger guy, and and we ran up. And Christy, I was like, did I miss anything? She was like, no. They were just talking. And I was like,
right. So outside of that, the movie is awesome. You should go see it. It really is actually an experience. Outside of that, I believe we're actually good for today in Circle Brothers. This is RJ.
This is Eric.
And we are done for today's podcast. If you want to go ahead and link up with us, go ahead and chat on our, send us a message to us through Facebook. We're actually going to be at Circle Brothers. Just search for us on Facebook, Circle Brothers, CIRCLE BROS . And also search us out on SoundCloud. We're actually on the same one, Circle Brothers, CIRCLE BROS . And you'll actually see the Circle Brothers logo, which is a circle with the Circle Bros. So outside of that, outside of SoundCloud and Facebook, we'll also be on Instagram too. So be on the lookout for that. And that's going to be at Circle Brothers _614. So Circle Brothers 614. You want to search out for that if you're actually on Instagram. All right. Outside of that, we will holler at y'all folks later. Thank you again for tuning in. Go ahead and give us a like, share, and subscribe, and we will holler at y'all later.
Deuces.
Deuce.